Picture a very normal morning. You wake up, you sit on the edge of the bed for a second, and you do that little test almost all of us over 60 do without even thinking about it. You move your feet, you roll your ankles, you see how your legs feel today. Then you stand. And maybe you notice it again, what you've been noticing more often lately. Not sharp pain, not a dramatic injury, just that heavy, dragging feeling. Like your thighs are made of wet sand. Like your calves are wearing invisible ankle weights. Like your knees need an extra moment to unlock. You walk to the kitchen. You want to do the right thing. You want to be the kind of person who takes care of themselves. And there it is on the counter, the banana. Because somebody, somewhere, told you the same thing we all heard. Bananas are the best source of potassium. Potassium prevents cramps. Bananas are a perfect breakfast. So, you peel it. You eat it. Maybe you even feel proud of yourself, because it's not a donut, it's not cookies, it's not leftover cake. It's fruit. It's healthy. But here's the quiet part nobody warns you about. Some seniors feel worse after that healthy banana, not immediately, not like an allergy, more like a slow, confusing drain. An hour or two later, your legs feel heavier than they did when you woke up. Your feet feel tight in your shoes. The stairs feel steeper than last year. Standing up from a chair takes a little more effort than it should. Your balance feels just a touch less trustworthy. And you start wondering, without saying it out loud, is this just aging? Is this what happens now? Listen closely, because this next part is the key to your mobility. For some older bodies, that innocent morning banana can act like a muscle imposter. It walks into your routine wearing the costume of health. Potassium, vitamins, natural, easy, while quietly triggering the exact chain reaction that makes legs feel weak, heavy, and less dependable. And today, I'm going to show you how that happens, what it's doing inside your blood vessels and your muscles, and, most importantly, how to fix it without giving up the foods you love or living in fear of breakfast. Because this isn't about blaming bananas. This is about protecting the one thing that protects your independence, your legs. Now, you might be wondering why no one told you this before. Part of the reason is simple. Most health advice is made for younger bodies. A 35-year-old who sleeps fine, has great insulin sensitivity, and walks briskly without thinking can eat a banana and feel energized. But after 60, the rules change. Not because you're broken, because your body becomes more sensitive to spikes, drops, inflammation, circulation changes, and the tiny losses that add up over time. And one of the biggest changes is how your body handles sugar. Yes, sugar. Because the first secret about the morning banana is this. A ripe banana is not just potassium. It's also a fast-digesting carbohydrate. That matters because the moment you eat it, especially on an empty stomach, your body breaks it down quickly into glucose. That glucose rises in your blood, and your pancreas responds by releasing insulin to push that glucose into your cells. In a younger, more insulin-sensitive body, that process is smooth. But in many seniors, especially if you've ever been told you're borderline, pre-diabetic, have belly weight that showed up after menopause or after retirement, or if you're simply less active than you used to be, that response can be exaggerated. Here's what can happen with a naked morning banana, meaning banana by itself, no protein, no fat, no fiber buffer, just banana. Blood sugar rises fast. Insulin rises fast. And then, blood sugar drops. That drop can feel like fatigue, shakiness, irritability, brain fog, or a sudden desire to snack. But in your legs, it can feel like something else. Heavy, slow, drained. Because your leg muscles are big engines. They don't just need calories, they need steady fuel delivery and steady oxygen delivery. And when your blood sugar and insulin swing like that, older legs often pay the price. Now let's go deeper, because I promised you authoritative, and I want you to understand what's actually happening inside the hardware of your mobility. Your leg muscles depend on tiny blood vessels, microvessels, capillaries that deliver oxygen and nutrients right down to the muscle fibers. Think of them like thousands and thousands of microscopic garden hoses. When those hoses are healthy, your muscles are well fed and well oxygenated. You can get up, walk, climb stairs, and your legs respond. But frequent blood sugar spikes, especially when they happen day after day, create stress inside those vessels. Even before someone becomes officially diabetic, repeated spikes can increase oxidative stress and inflammation in the vessel lining. That lining is called the endothelium. The endothelium is not just a passive wall. It's a living, active organ that controls circulation. It decides when a vessel relaxes and opens to increase blood flow. It helps regulate nitric oxide, one of the body's most important vessel-relaxing signals. And it's especially important in the legs and feet because gravity already makes circulation more challenging down there. So when the endothelium gets irritated, when it becomes stiff, inflamed, and less responsive, your legs can start feeling like they're running on low supply. Less oxygen delivery, less nutrient delivery, slower recovery, more dragging fatigue. And there's another layer that hits seniors harder. Insulin isn't only about blood sugar. Insulin is also a vascular signal. In healthy conditions, insulin helps open up microvascular blood flow in muscle, basically improving access of glucose and insulin to the muscle cells so the muscles can use that fuel properly. But with insulin resistance, that microvascular response becomes impaired. So here's the trap. The more often you spike insulin, the more your body can become resistant to insulin's effects, both metabolic and vascular. That means not only does glucose control get worse over time, circulation to muscle can get less efficient too. And when muscle circulation becomes less efficient, legs feel heavier. Stairs feel crueler. Walking feels shorter. You fatigue sooner. And you start adjusting your life without even noticing. You park closer. You avoid the second floor. You carry fewer groceries. You skip the outing because you don't trust how your legs will feel. That's the beginning of what I call the silent decline. Not dramatic, not one big event, just a series of small retreats from life, because your legs don't feel like they used to. Now, let's talk about the second sneaky part, the crash. When blood sugar drops after a spike, your body tries to protect your brain. It may release stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol to bring sugar back up. In seniors, that stress response can feel like a racing heart, anxious energy, weakness, tired legs. And here's something many people miss. Cortisol and chronic stress signals can increase muscle breakdown over time, especially if protein intake is low. So that healthy banana can become the first domino in a day of cravings, stress snacking, and low-grade inflammation. And inflammation is gasoline on the fire of sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. Let's say that word out loud because it matters. Sarcopenia. It is not just getting older. Yes, muscle naturally changes with age, but the speed and severity of that change is heavily influenced by nutrition, blood sugar stability, inflammation, activity, and circulation. In other words, sarcopenia is not your destiny. It's a process, and processes can be interrupted. Now, here's where the gut muscle axis comes in, and I want you to stay with me because this is one of the most empowering pieces of the whole story. Your gut is not separate from your muscles. Your gut is where you digest and absorb protein, magnesium, B vitamins, and the building blocks your muscles need. Your gut also houses your microbiome, the community of bacteria that produces helpful compounds, including short-chain fatty acids, that support the gut lining and help regulate inflammation. When the gut is healthy, the gut barrier is strong, inflammation is lower, and muscle protein synthesis works better. When the gut is irritated by frequent sugar swings, ultra-processed foods, poor sleep, and chronic stress, the gut lining can become more leaky. That leakiness can allow inflammatory fragments to enter the bloodstream, and inflammation in the bloodstream does not stay politely in the bloodstream. It reaches your joints. It reaches your blood vessels. It reaches your muscles. And muscles in older adults are especially sensitive to inflammatory signals. Inflammation can reduce muscles' ability to respond to protein, making it harder to rebuild and maintain strength even when you are eating pretty well. That is why two seniors can eat the same breakfast and get very different outcomes. One person feels fine. Another feels heavy-legged and drained. It's not weakness. It's biology. Now, before you throw bananas in the trash, let me say something clearly. Bananas are not poison. Bananas can be part of a healthy diet. The problem is the timing, the preparation, and the naked banana habit, especially in seniors who already have any signs of insulin resistance, circulation issues, neuropathy, joint inflammation, or a history of heart or kidney concerns. And that brings us to the third piece you asked for, the fluid retention trap. If you've ever noticed puffy ankles, swollen feet, tight socks leaving deep marks, or shoes feeling snug by afternoon, pay attention here. Many people assume swelling is only about too much salt. Salt matters, yes, but insulin also influences how the kidneys handle sodium. Higher insulin levels can encourage the body to retain sodium, and where sodium goes, water follows. So when you start your day with a fast digesting carb, again, especially on an empty stomach, and you trigger a bigger insulin surge than your body handles comfortably, you may be nudging your body toward fluid retention. Now, in someone with no heart issues, that may just look like a little puffiness, a little stiffness. But in seniors with underlying heart concerns, diagnosed or not, fluid balance is already more delicate. If the heart is not pumping as strongly as it used to, the kidneys may already be receiving a signal that blood flow is low, and they respond by holding on to fluid. That can show up as swollen ankles, swollen feet, a feeling of heaviness in the lower legs, stiff joints, worse balance, because swollen feet don't feel the ground as clearly, and stiff ankles don't adjust as quickly. And sometimes the heaviness is not just in the muscles, it's literally extra fluid weight in the tissues. So you can see how this becomes a perfect storm for mobility. Blood sugar spikes stress the blood vessels. Insulin resistance reduces microvascular function. Inflammation accelerates muscle loss. Fluid retention makes joints stiff and balance less stable. And the legs, your foundation, start to feel unreliable. That's the silent decline. Now let's make this practical, because I never want you to walk away from a video like this feeling scared and helpless. I want you to feel informed and equipped. Here's the first major fix, and it's simple. Stop eating the banana alone in the morning. If you love bananas, you don't have to quit. You have to upgrade the way you eat them. This is what I call the circulation stack. Instead of a full banana by itself, you use a smaller amount. Often half is enough, and you pair it with two things: protein that digests slowly, healthy fat that slows the glucose curve. One of my favorite senior-friendly combinations is plain Greek yogurt and walnuts with a few slices of banana. Why does this work? Because protein and fat slow gastric emptying, meaning the banana's sugars move into the bloodstream more slowly. That reduces the spike. That reduces the crash. That reduces the insulin surge. And when insulin is steadier, your kidneys are less likely to hold on to sodium and water, your vessels are less stressed, and your muscles get a steadier fuel supply. Greek yogurt also brings something seniors desperately need: leucine-rich protein. Leucine is one of the key amino acids that signals muscle protein synthesis. In plain language, it helps tell your body, keep your muscles, rebuild your muscles. Walnuts bring healthy fats and anti-inflammatory compounds. And together, this breakfast supports the gut muscle axis, because steady blood sugar and adequate protein help maintain a healthier microbiome environment and reduce inflammatory stress signals that break down muscle. Now here's an important nuance. The riper the banana, the sweeter it is. That means a very ripe banana, lots of brown spots, will generally act more like a quick sugar hit than a less ripe one. So if you're a senior dealing with heavy legs, swelling, prediabetes, or cravings, choose a less ripe banana and use less of it. Half a banana. Not 2 bananas, not a giant banana, and never as your only breakfast. Now, let's talk about what to do if your main reason for eating bananas is cramps. Because I understand that fear. A leg cramp at 2 a.m. can feel like someone is twisting your calf with pliers, so you hear potassium, and you cling to bananas like a lifeline. But here's what many seniors don't realize. Cramps are not always a potassium problem. Very often, cramps involve magnesium. Sometimes they involve hydration status. Sometimes they involve medications, like diuretics, statins, or other prescriptions that can affect electrolytes and muscles. Sometimes they involve nerve irritation, poor circulation, or simply underused muscles. So if you are eating a banana every morning for cramps and your legs still feel heavy, you may be treating the wrong problem with the wrong tool. And that brings us to the strong leg alternatives, foods that support circulation, reduce inflammation, stabilize insulin, and deliver minerals without triggering the sugar spike. First, berries, especially blueberries and raspberries. Berries are lower in sugar than many fruits, and they're rich in polyphenols, plant compounds that support the health of blood vessels. Remember that endothelium we talked about, the vessel lining that helps regulate blood flow? Berries support that system. They help protect nitric oxide availability, reduce oxidative stress, and support healthier circulation. For seniors, that matters because better microvascular function can mean better oxygen delivery to muscles, and better oxygen delivery can mean less lead leg fatigue. If you want a simple, powerful breakfast swap, try this. Plain Greek yogurt, a handful of blueberries or raspberries, a small sprinkle of walnuts or pumpkin seeds. That's a leg-friendly breakfast. It's steady energy. It's muscle-supporting protein. It's vessel-supporting antioxidants. And it's gentle on blood sugar. Second, avocado. Avocado is not sweet. It's fat-forward, in a good way. It provides monounsaturated fats that support insulin sensitivity and help reduce inflammation. And if you've got stiff joints, aching knees, or that dry, creaky feeling in movement, healthy fats are not optional. They are cushioning from the inside. Avocado also helps you stay satisfied, which reduces the urge to chase energy with sugary snacks later. One senior-friendly option, whole grain toast or a high-fiber cracker, mashed avocado, a boiled egg on top. That is a strong leg breakfast because it supports blood sugar stability and muscle maintenance. Third, pumpkin seeds. If cramps are your concern, pumpkin seeds are a quiet superstar. They provide magnesium and zinc, minerals that support muscle function, nerve function, and recovery. And unlike a banana, pumpkin seeds won't spike your blood sugar. You can sprinkle them on yogurt, blend them into a smoothie, or eat a small handful with a meal. Now, I want to address something sensitive, because it matters for seniors. Sometimes heavy legs are not just about breakfast. Sometimes they're a warning sign. If you have swelling that is new, sudden, or getting worse, or if you have shortness of breath, chest pressure, or you're gaining weight quickly over a few days, that is not a food hack situation. That is a call your clinician situation. Your safety matters more than any nutrition tip. Also, if you have kidney disease or you've been told to watch potassium, do not treat bananas like a harmless snack. In those cases, potassium management needs to be personalized. But for many seniors watching this who feel that day-to-day heaviness, the gradual loss of spring in the legs, the breakfast pattern is one of the easiest places to take back control. Because breakfast sets your blood sugar rhythm. It sets your appetite rhythm. It sets your inflammation rhythm. And it sets your movement confidence for the day. Now let's connect the dots one more time, so you can really feel the logic in your bones. When you eat a naked banana in the morning, you may get a quicker blood sugar rise. That may produce a bigger insulin response. In aging bodies, frequent spikes can contribute to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance affects not only glucose, it affects microvascular function. Microvascular dysfunction means less efficient blood flow in the tiny vessels that feed your muscles. Less oxygen and nutrient delivery can feel like heavy, dragging legs. Meanwhile, insulin swings and inflammation can worsen the gut-muscle axis, reducing your ability to absorb and use nutrients to maintain muscle. Over time, the legs lose muscle and power, sarcopenia. Then add fluid retention tendencies, whether from insulin's effect on sodium handling, medications, or underlying heart strain, and you get swelling, stiffness, and unstable balance. And suddenly what looked like a perfect health habit becomes a quiet contributor to weakness. That's why I call it the muscle imposter. Now, here's the empowering part, the part I want you to take personally. Aging doesn't have to mean getting weaker. Not automatically, not inevitably. Yes, we respect the reality of aging, but we refuse the lie that decline is the only direction. Your strength can return, often faster than you think, when you remove the daily irritants that are quietly stealing it. And the morning banana is one of those irritants for a lot of seniors. So here's what I want you to do for the next 7 days. Just 7 days, as an experiment for your legs. If you eat a banana in the morning, do not eat it alone. Pair it with protein and healthy fat. Use less banana, half, not a whole big one, or swap it out completely for berries plus Greek yogurt. Add pumpkin seeds if cramps are your concern. Add avocado if joints and stiffness are your concern. Then pay attention. Not to the scale, not to perfection, but to your legs. When you stand up, do they feel lighter? When you walk down the hallway, do you feel steadier? When you climb stairs, do you recover faster? Do your ankles look less puffy by evening? Do you feel less dragging fatigue in your calves? Because the goal here is not a trendy diet. The goal is mobility. The goal is confidence. The goal is keeping your life big. Your legs carry your independence. They carry you to the bathroom safely at night. They carry you through grocery aisles. They carry you to your grandkids, your garden, your church, your friends, your own front door. And your legs are fueled by your plate. So let's fuel them like they matter, because they do. Now I want to hear from you, because this community gets stronger when we share what's real. Comment below with your age, and tell me yes or no. Have you noticed heavy legs after your morning meal, especially on days you eat something sweet or carb-heavy like a banana? And if you're brave, tell me what your typical breakfast has been. No shame, no judgment, just data, so we can help each other stay strong.